What is up, friends, Takeover peeps, anyone coming across this video randomly? This is an unplanned, unexpected video today where I just wanted to talk about something that's already being talked about on other channels and in other places, but just in case you as Takeover TV watchers have not heard this or seen this, I want to kind of, talk about it, make awareness about it from my end of things, and hear your feedback on what you think is the best, because I don't know that there's a really good answer in the end, but I think it's something we all need to think about because it does affect us as collectors and sellers and people of the hobby. So earlier today, Sports Card Radio posted a video on YouTube talking about, it's all tied into the whole, there was a conversation about certain breakers, if they, are given hot boxes and whatnot. If they are aware of cards that might be inside boxes, things like that, all that conversation, which, is not something I'm looking to dive into. I'm having my own personal thoughts about it, personal conversations with people in the hobby, but I'm not here to talk about that on my channel. But this is all tied together because when it does affect us, I think it's important to talk about. And, I will say one of the things about Sports Card Radio, I know that some people have differing opinions on them. Some people might think they're being too negative, all the stuff like that. In my mind, I might not agree with them every single time, but I think that they serve their place well in the hobby and that they're an important piece of it because they're not willing to let things just be swept under the rug. And that's not for lack of having positivity about something that I do believe they're passionate about. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't be doing anything. It's really trying to make it a better place for all of us in the hobby. And, sometimes that means stuff gets messy. Because when you do sweep things under the rug and then pull it up later, it looks like a huge mess. But the thing is, if we just clean up things along the way and tidy, it won't be like that. Because the problem is when things get covered and hidden. And I think that Sports Card Radio is just personally at pretty good at exposing things. And a lot of the times those things are negative activity going on. So with that said, sharing a message they already shared, I don't dive into things at the level they do. I just want to continue this conversation because I think it's important. So they were speaking of, and I'm going to give this just small summary. I'm going to glaze over. If you really want to hear all the information, I encourage you to go to their channel and watch their video. It goes more in depth, and they actually have an interview with one of these box breakers that I'm going to be bringing up. So as it turns out, with Court Kings in particular, and who knows about other products, there is a certain number, if you look, when a box is unopened, I do not have any by me at all, but there's a little hollow sticker, of like NBA logo or whatever, and it's going to have a little serial number on there, usually in the bottom right corner, and that serial number is visible to you as the holder of that box, right? So it turns out that something, and I don't know the number, and if I did, I wouldn't share it because I think it doesn't need to be shared. There's a certain number on there that tells you which boxes of Court Kings the Kaboom is in. Now, people found out that sequence of numbers and have been using that to their advantage over the years. It turns out maybe since 2012, I think is what I heard on the thing, which is a problem because if people knew that, I think it's their duty to bring that up to places like Panini and the card producers that this is giving some people who might twist it and use it for their gain and others' losses in a unfortunately misguided way. It's the same as pack searching at that point, right? And everyone gets mad at that. So there's a sequence of numbers on there that tells you which ones have the Kaboom in it. There's a breaker named LMS Box Breakers who kind of saw something fishy going on. They were streaming on one of those live streaming sites, and another breaker was trying to purchase a spot in like their box break, which won the box. They had like 4 or 5 boxes of Court Kings or something like that, and they asked to see the boxes. Now, sometimes that's just the thing of people feel like they're lucky choosing their own boxes and all that. They just want to see them, choose them. You might say I have like 5 boxes. Do you want the first, second, third, fourth, yada, yada, yada. This person wanted to see more detail, which seemed weird. So they basically asked them to zoom in on, it was like the laces of Cade Cunningham's shoes, I think. And that was so that they could see the sequence of numbers. Anyways, so they They skipped the first couple boxes. They chose the one they wanted based off the numbers after looking at it. Sure enough, that one had a Jalen Suggs Kaboom in it. So that made LMS box breakers want to look into this further. They did their own research with another one or whatever, went off the same, like, whatever sequence numbers it is. Sure enough, another Kaboom in it. Now this is something where it's like, where do we go from here? It needs to be talked about, because the issue is that, you know, I think it's supposed to be one Kaboom per case or something like that. So for the producers of cards, this simplifies it for them to know for certain that they are giving each case a Kaboom, right? I don't have the answer for how to fix that. Like, but the problem is there. The problem is exposed. The problem is that people know the numbers and they can use it to their advantage and they can screw other people over. So where do we go from there? I just think they need to be aware of it. They're going to have to change the process. Unfortunately, enough of those boxes are already out there. It just makes one nervous as a collector to purchase cards from someone that's cracked open a case, just in case they know that sequence of numbers and they've pulled that box already, you know? And that's an unfair advantage. Like I said, that's the same as pack searching. It is no different. So Panini is going to have to think about how to change that. You know, now it's going to be Fanatics down the road. How are they going to signal that? I'm curious as to what you guys think. Do you have any thoughts on how that could be changed, adjusted? Maybe some of you have worked in production before, or maybe you have a better idea. I personally, as a collector and flipper for that matter, like the idea of randomness. That's the fun of the game or whatever. I do not want to know what's in there. Like, it's one thing to know that I'm guaranteed an autograph or two in a box or whatever, but you know, it's another thing to have an unfair advantage with knowing a case hit is in a certain box each time. I want the randomness. I would almost rather, I mean, this might sound funny because money is involved and we all want to make money. We don't want to lose money, right? Even when we are true collectors or whatever we want to say, like, none of us want to lose money no matter what. Doesn't matter if you sell or not. I would almost rather not even know that there's a Kaboom per case. Like, I would rather it be so random that my case might not contain one. Now, that might sound silly, but to me, that's better than being able to know which box inside a case has it in there, right? Like, and I think about, like, kids who are collectors, right? And, like, you might be sitting there and you might be thinking, like, does a kid need a Kaboom? Well, it's like, yeah, they do. Like, everyone should have a fair shot at it, okay? I just think that when there's an unfair advantage, obviously adults are able to pull this off, right? And not all of us know the number. I don't know the number, but it's going to be mostly adults. It's not going to be like a 10-year-old kid, right? It's going to be, and that just takes out, like, it's just like collecting opportunities from people. It's taking the randomness out of it. And sure, it's still, you have no idea who the Kaboom is, but you're literally automatically able to remove a crucial collection chaser piece out of a case. That's just not right. And I hope that there's not, like, card shops out there taking that off the shelf, you know, because everyone that walks in through that door, no matter what age they are, I don't care if they're 7, 15, 35 like me, 70, 100, I don't care. Like, everyone should have that fair shot without it already being removed by someone that might have an unfair advantage of knowing something. So how do we fix that? How do we change that? How do we get back to true randomness? How do we make sure people aren't using... There's always going to be abuse of power in things, especially when there's money involved. And I just don't like seeing things that can potentially further suck the joy out of something that's supposed to be joyful for someone, that's supposed to be fun. Yeah, that's just where my mind's at. I just want everyone to have a fair advantage. I don't want anyone to have extra power they can abuse, and the ability to, you know, it's ripping someone off too at the same time, really. Like, imagine cracking open a case, selling all but one box because it's the one that the person knew the Kaboom was in, and there's people buying the boxes thinking they have a shot, right? Like, we can't have that. Anyways, kind of a bummer video, but you know what? We need to talk about things that are sometimes a bit of a bummer so that we can make a community that we love better. So peace and love. I want to hear your comments, opinions, thoughts. Drop them below. I'll talk to you soon.